beautiful port city of Savannah, Georgia has earned its nickname, the Hostess City of the South, with its charm and southern hospitality. Come along with us as we show you some of its history, architecture, cuisine, and drinks. Savannah is rich in history for you to explore. Jones Street, still partially paved with its original red bricks, is regularly considered the prettiest street in Savannah and is ranked as one of the most beautiful streets in America. The Custom House is a great example of Greek Revival architecture and is constructed entirely of stone. Construction started in 1848 and lasted until 1852. The granite columns of the main facade weigh between 15 and 20 tons each. It reportedly took 30 days to transport them from the riverbank to the site and another 30 days to position them. The Cotton Exchange building was completed in 1887 when Savannah ranked first as a cotton port on the Atlantic and second in the world. At its height as a cotton port, over 2 million bales a year moved through Savannah. The city sits atop a 40-foot bluff above the Savannah River. As more trade came into the wharf situated along what is now River Street, a timber retaining wall was constructed around the early 1800s. As the timber wall began rotting away, a new, more permanent wall was needed. Charles Clusky, an up-and-coming architect, submitted a bid to design this new retaining wall. In March of 1840, his bid was accepted. Several weeks later, Mr. Clusky proposed adding several storage vaults in the wall. These are the 4 he built and were intended for general-purpose storage. It's worth noting that these were not excavations, but freestanding structures that were later covered to create the promenade above. Bonaventure Cemetery was first created in 1846 and was originally called Evergreen Cemetery. It was established on 70 acres of the Bonaventure plantation, hence its current name, when the city's current cemeteries were nearing capacity. It is designed as a traditional Victorian cemetery with curving pathways and lots of trees and grassy areas. And while it is a cemetery, it wasn't uncommon to see families meet and picnic here while still being provided solace and comfort for those bereaved relatives of those buried. It was purchased by the city in 1907 and redesigned to fit more gravesite. The most visited gravesite is that of little Gracie Watson, the 6-year-old daughter of a popular hotel manager who died suddenly after being photographed in her new Easter clothes. One of the most visited gravesites is that of Johnny Mercer, one of the most popular songwriters of the Great American Songbook era. This section of the cemetery belongs to the American Legion and is dedicated to the veterans of both World Wars. Fort Pulaski was built to protect the port of Savannah. Started in 1829, it took 18 years to complete and was both a technical and architectural marvel of its time. The fort saw most of its use during the Civil War, where the Union's first use of rifled artillery in combat brought about the end of brick fortifications. The Tybee Island Lighthouse has been guiding mariners' safe entrance into the Savannah River for over 285 years. It was built under the orders of General Oglethorpe in 1732 when he founded the city. The Tybee Island Light Station is one of America's most intact light stations. It still has all of its historic support buildings on its 3-acre site. During General Sherman's march to the sea towards the end of the Civil War, the Green Meldrum House was used, by invitation of Mr. Green himself, as Sherman's headquarters. It was from here that Sherman sent his famous telegram to President Lincoln gifting him the city of Savannah for Christmas. The Cathedral Basilica of St. John the Baptist was bestowed the honor of minor basilica by Pope Francis in 2020. This memorial on River Street, titled A World Apart, is an impressive monument that pays tribute to American soldiers in World War II from Savannah. The Savannah Theater opened its doors on December 4th, 1818, and has hosted many famous and maybe infamous actors. The Colonial Park Cemetery is the oldest intact municipal cemetery in Savannah. It was the primary public cemetery from 1750 to 1853. There are many Revolutionary War veterans buried here. Samuel Elbert, Revolutionary War soldier and later governor of Georgia, Lochion McIntosh, a major general of the Continental Army, and Button Gwinnett, one of the signers of the Declaration of Independence, to name a few. Joseph Clay was a major in the Georgia Line during the Revolutionary War. James Haversham remained loyal to Britain during the Revolution, even though he disapproved of Parliament's actions. In his last days, he referred to the revolutionary struggle as father against son and son against father. The Graham Vault was the resting place of one of America's greatest heroes, Major General Nathaniel Greene, second in command during the Revolutionary War. In 1902, he was reinterred in Johnson Square under the monument that bears his name. From 1740 until 1877, a number of duels were fought in and around Colonial Park Cemetery. Union soldiers, while occupying the city during the Civil War, changed the dates on many of the headstones with their bayonets. One man living to the ripe old age of 421, his neighbor living 544 years, and another man's son was born 1,000 years before his father. It is also rumored that they line these headstones up on the wall and use them as target practice. While this is a popular rumor, there is little direct evidence that this is the case. Forsyth Park is Savannah's largest and oldest public park. It was named for Georgia's 33rd Governor John Forsyth, who also served in the U.S. House and Senate, and served as Secretary of State under Presidents Andrew Jackson and Martin Van Buren. The fountain, long regarded as a symbol of Savannah, isn't unique as it was ordered from a catalog. Similar fountains can be found in Paris, France, and Cusco, Peru. Did you know Savannah was the first planned city in the U.S.? General Oglethorpe laid out his plan for the city in a grid pattern. The streets created square blocks divided into 10 lots for buildings and homes. The original plan called for 24 squares, of which 22 remain nearly 300 years later. Watch your step as you descend the stairs down to River Street. You can book a riverboat cruise and dinner aboard the 550-passenger Georgia Queen. Step inside the J.W. Marriott Savannah Plant Riverside District, a repurposed power plant with unique architectural features and an expansive lobby that looks more like a natural history museum. If you want to see our full Savannah guide, visit fittingandadventure.com. The link is in the description. Make sure to look up and see the life-size, chrome-dipped dinosaur. This avenue, sheltered by live oaks and Spanish moss, leads to the ruins of Wormslow, the colonial estate of Noble Jones. Jones arrived with General Oglethorpe and the first group of settlers in 1733. As a surveyor, he laid out the towns of Augusta and New Ebenezer. Andrew Lowe's daughter-in-law, Juliet Gordon Lowe, lived here when she founded the Girl Scouts of America. The Mercer Williams house was featured prominently in the book and film Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil. The Owens Thomas house is where General Lafayette stayed during his visit to the city in 1825. Savannah offers some of the best Southern cuisine. A line gathers each morning outside Mrs. Wilkes' dining room. At 11 o'clock, the doors open as guests find seats around one of the tables for 10 shared by strangers who leave as friends. The Old Pink House in Savannah's historic district serves classic Southern cuisine in an elegant mansion built in 1771. As one of the oldest buildings in the city, this inn and tavern was frequented by sailors and, yes, pirates, as Savannah grew into a thriving seaport. Down these steps are the tunnels allegedly used to Shanghai unsuspecting sailors to crew pirate ships. The Herb House is said to be the oldest standing structure in the state. It originally housed the gardener and his family when the city was first founded. Here is a death photo of the gardener's son who is said to haunt this room. Did you catch that? Here, watch it again. We didn't catch it until we were editing, and while we're not the ones who believe in every ghost story, there's something weird about that light. Tell us what you think it was in the comments. Once outside and now incorporated into the restaurant, this well was the inn's source of fresh water. Robert Louis Stevenson was inspired to write Treasure Island while staying here. Early edition pages are found in the treasure room today. Make sure to check out the napkin art at Abe's on Lincoln, a corner bar that combines art, history, and drinking. Originally a grocery store before becoming a restaurant, the Crystal Beer Parlor was one of the first eating establishments to serve alcohol after the repeal of Prohibition, probably because it was already on the premises. Make sure to stop by Leopold's for some of their award-winning homemade ice cream, unchanged since 1919. Grab a tiki drink and escape to an exotic tropical hideaway in downtown Savannah at the Bamboo Tiki Room. Whether you want to explore the rich history, take in the architecture, or just enjoy some of the best cuisine in the South, Savannah has something for everyone.